someday you will join us, and the world will live as one. Hey everybody, welcome to MT Guitar. Today we're doing one of the biggest singles of the early 70s, Imagine by John Lennon. This was, John Lennon's biggest single of his solo career, shortly after the breakup of the Beatles. And in fact, this is from the album of the same name. And this was produced by Phil Spector, later to be credited as well with some lyrics by Yoko Ono. John Lennon talked about how Yoko had some poems and stuff that were used for this song. Really a beautiful song. Of course, it's played on the piano, but I am that kind of guy that really loves to dig into a piano song and see what happens when you put it to guitar. Amazing things happen. I've done it with a bunch of lessons here on MT Guitar, including The Way It Is, which I covered on my last solo album of original music, except for that one, and I Can't Make You Love Me, Bonnie Raitt, which, speaking of Bruce Hornsby, he played on that as well. But I've always had a great time putting piano songs to guitar. This one happens to work really well with guitar without too much fuss. Sometimes you have to really be creative and clever. But this one, it's just a triad, right? So you got the piano grip. If you ever played any piano, it's like a nice little triad. And John's gonna move that triad back and forth with a bass note. All right, so it's like blah, dum, ba, bass, da, ba, right? So that translates to the three fingers for me doing the piano part of the right hand, and the thumb doing the bass note of the left hand of the piano. And he goes up to a C major 7 here, brings it to an F major, and there's this sort of floating, sustaining-like quality to the piano in that recording. So I'm keeping everything open. You'll notice this is sort of still got that open major 7 note in that F chord. Here, rolls back up to that major 7 of C, which is a B note, right? The letter below C is the 7 of the key. That's C major 7. So he goes back to the C. It's just a brilliant line that we all have in our ear. Of course, it's a very famous piano part, and so it's really kind of cool to play it on the guitar. And for it to work that well, we're using these regular chords that we play all the time in terms of C and F, with really interesting additions using the open B string. In some ways, you could make an argument that makes it even easier to play than a bar chord. All right, so let me play this. F. And notice I'm doing the triad now here, bass. And then this is going to be sustained. Now you'll notice I played C over G here, C major 7 over G, but that's optional. It's just if you kind of want to whack at it with the thumb and get a little more volume. So you could just keep it this, or you could go, kind of changes a little bit, makes it a little more guitaristic, a little more strummy. So I like to provide a couple options. There's sort of the literal piano part, and then there's strumming a bit. Both will be written out and tabbed out on the Patreon at patreon.com/mtguitar. A couple more things about this song. I'm sort of a Beatle nerd, having TA'd a class at USC on the history of the Beatles. This featured the bassist Klaus Voormann, who was a friend of the Beatles from the Hamburg days in the early 60s. And so Klaus and Jürgen were the Beatles' friends, as well as Astrid, who the first bass player, Stuart Sutcliffe, actually married. And moved to Germany before he tragically passed away very young. Klaus is, throughout this whole album, sort of playing bass. John called on him as an old friend to play bass. George Harrison's also playing guitar on most of this album. Really interesting there. And so John and George remained close. John and Paul obviously had sort of a rougher time at it until later. I think they reunited officially in 1974, where there's pictures of them hanging out. So that's good. So this was a massive hit for John, as was this album. So interesting that John brought on his old friends Klaus and of course George for most of this album, and for this song, Klaus on bass. And it's a really cool song to be able to play. I was playing a solo gig and someone requested it, and it reminded me I probably should teach this song, and because I had a good time playing, and I thought this is really fun to play. So I hope you enjoy it too. Let's go ahead, dive on in, and learn it note for note. Piano part, I think that's probably the best way to start learning the song. Then you can take that to strumming. And by the way, if you're interested in the chord melody, I'll do this at the end, show you a simple way to play this. Really nice chance to play the chord melody up the neck, and you know, I was happy with being able to sustain these 2 melody notes way up there. Kind of cool. So stick around if you want to learn that. So for the piano part, it's a bit unique and non-traditional, but the 5th, 4th, 3rd strings are going to pinch a C chord. So you got this triad, root position triad right here, which is what John played. And then the thumb will come on the bass. On the recording, right, it's a lower octave, but we don't have that note here. So we're just going to respond with the 5th string. So we go fingers, thumb 3 times, and then the 4th beat, we go up to a C major 7 here, 4th, 3rd, 2nd strings, and the thumb still plays the 5th string. So it's like 3 times, C major 7, and then thumb. All right? So now we go to an F major. I recommend the thumb over. If that's not something you do, no problem. We don't need the 2nd string. In fact, we want it to still be ringing out. So that's the easiest if you can put the thumb over, or if you prefer the index finger here, no problem, just don't bar it. Now we're going to go 5th, 4th, 3rd strings on an F chord, and then thumb on the 6th string. 3 times, and then after 3 times, you go 2 to 3 hammer on with the pinky, and then 2nd string open. The nice thing about open strings is it gives you time to go to the next chord. So nice and smooth, right? So we have the loop. C major 7 goes to F, F sharp 4 or sharp 11 goes back to C major 7. So the whole thing slow would be 3, 4. Like that. Okay. That happens throughout the verse until the pre-chorus. So when it's the last phrase of the verse, we just stay on the F and we don't do the 2-3-0 thing. We just go do. Now we're gonna do the pre-chorus. Okay, so the pre-chorus is a little different. It starts to become a little bit more involved. So instead of fingers, thumb, we're gonna combine that first beat with the thumb and fingers together, and then thumb. So it's, and notice I went up to the 4th, 3rd, 2nd strings with the thumb. So boom, thumb, fingers back to 5th, 4th, 3rd strings. Imagine all, and then A minor, same thing. Pinch, thumb, and then pinch, thumb. And I actually like going to 5th, 4th, 3rd strings. So that's A minor over E. So F, A minor over E. So I go to A minor and I pinch the E bass with the 4th, 3rd, 2nd strings, bass, 5th, 4th, 3rd strings, bass. Okay, so the whole thing is 3, 4. Imagine all the people. You get a nice bassy sound. Now D minor 7, 0211, and we pinch, thumb, fingers, thumb. Now D minor over C, just add that ring finger to a C note, pinch, thumb, thumb, fingers, thumb. All right, so that would be, now the bass is going ba ba ba. Now the G over B. So we go to this chord 2-0-0-0, and we go pinch, thumb. Pinch, meaning all together. Thumb, chord, thumb, and then 2-1. Slide up to 4 and 3 on the 3rd and 2nd strings, and then just play the 3rd string. 3rd fret 6th string to end. So that would be. Hold, you're holding a G chord right there. All right. If we had one more finger, we'd want a G7, but that's okay. So the whole pre-chorus is 3, 4. Imagine Let's do it again. 3, sorry, 4. Imagine all the people. Here we go. Living life. Hold. Yeah. Back to another verse. Right? It's important on the verse to have that second string open. Okay, same thing, verse, pre-chorus. Now for the chorus, when he goes, living life in peace, hold. Now we'll go to the chorus. And that's, if you've got the right hand pattern now, everything is pretty easy. So it's F, same thing. It's a pinch, thumb, fingers, thumb. I'm just going to stay on the 4/3 2nd strings this time and not go to 5th 4/3 because it's higher up now. So G, C, major 7, E, E7. Okay, so that's from the beginning. F, G, C, C major 7, E, E7. Okay, back to F, G, repeat, C, C major 7, E, E7, F, G, third time, C major 7, E, E7, F, G, C, G bass, A bass, B bass. All right, so now at the end when we land on C of the final part of the chorus, C, bass, G, so we go to 3rd fret, 6th string. I like to hit the 2nd string 1st fret, and then you just bounce the bass up, open, 2nd fret, and then you're back to the chord, to the verse. So that would be, see? Excuse me. So that's the closest we can get to the piano part being literal for the whole song. And that's it. Now, if you want to play this a little bit more guitaristically, I recommend C over G for that C major 7. And you can kind of get some more of a guitar sound by strumming down the thumb on the bass strings. So it's less about bass note, it's more about a down strum. But you're still getting the triads. So fingers, you could strum up with your index, but I'm going to keep it like this, and then strum up. So the thumb is coming down on multiple strings. Gives it more of a strummy feel. You could do it for the entire song, as long as you add that C major 7 over G. Let's practice by going to the pre-chorus with this strum approach. Here we go. Imagine all. See? Nothing changes besides the. Okay? Chorus, same thing. You can strum down. Kind of cool. You can also blend the two, which is pretty much what I did. You just sort of blend the two. You pick and choose depending on how you're feeling. Just straight finger style bass that's on one string, or a little bit more of an old blues technique where you can strum several strings with the thumb, like a Piedmont style or a Delta blues style. Okay, so that's that. Now, the only thing left to cover would be this. So if you're interested in playing this chord melody arrangement that I wrote, that I figured out here, it's kind of cool. It's chords that you don't see every day. 7, 10, 7, 8. I'm not going to go over every note, but I'm just going to show you these chord shapes and let you hear it out with your ears. So that's 2nd string melody. Goes to 1st string. 7th fret, 7th fret, which is barred by the index finger. 10th fret goes over to the 2nd string, and you get this F major 7. So that's. Right? Then you get this F major 7. Then you go 7, 8, 9, hammer on, back to the chord. Right? Da, da, Okay. All right. All right, so that's how to do that. I think we'll end it there. I really just love putting these piano songs to guitar. Hope you do too, and hope I didn't go too fast and that it's clear enough that you can work this slow. You might have to watch the video a few times or just pause, rewind, etc. That's that. Have a great time playing this song. I hope you enjoy. See you next time, everyone. Thanks. Bye.